Hi, this is Senator Hough here for my weekly update, and I want to talk about a bill that we heard this week. It was a long, couple hours of testimony that we had. We had about 60 people come in front of us. Both the proponents and opponents gave very powerful, emotional testimony on this issue. And the proponents call it death with dignity. Most of you would know it as physician-assisted suicide. I know there's people on all sides of the issue. I have my own strong moral beliefs about it. But as lawmakers, we're ultimately charged at looking at the legislation and looking at these bills and figuring out, what parts of them are legally correct, which parts are not. And I can tell you from the hearing last night we had on this bill that there are a lot of problems, unintended consequences that this legislation will cause. First off, in 2002, the state of Maryland actually passed legislation to prevent assisted suicide. So you may have heard of Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who was going around and performing these assisted suicides on people and things like that. The state of Maryland, in reaction to that, passed legislation saying that a doctor could basically work with somebody, relieve their pain, even if that relieving of their pain hastened their death, but a doctor could not actually provide end-of-life medicine like poison to kill them or do procedures directly for the purpose of killing someone. So actually it's a strong law because it allows a doctor for palliative care type purposes to relieve pain, and in fact a number of doctors from Johns Hopkins and others came in and said that they've been able to do a much better job now recently of if somebody's in bad pain or suffering, providing the medicines and things like that would relieve that suffering without having to go to physician-assisted suicide. But the first thing this bill does is reverse that ban, so it does allow physician-assisted suicide. The second thing that the bill does is it sets up a 6-month limit. It says that you could go to a doctor, and if you're within 6 months of death, they say you're 6-month terminal illness, then you get this medicine. The problem being that the doctors said from Johns Hopkins, the other medical folks from Maryland said they don't really know. It would be nothing more than an educated guess. And then the worry was that in states like Oregon and other places, and they've seen overseas in the Netherlands, that gets expanded to people that actually don't have terminal illnesses, people that may be ill with MS or something like that, but may have depression, which was another part of the bill that was a problem because they don't actually screen people psychologically to make sure that they're not suffering from depression, so that people that maybe have mental issues more could be falsely prescribed this kind of medicine. That's a major issue. Third issue was coercion, so that people could be coerced into doing this because the bill allows someone to sign off. It requires a witness. Someone that is in the will or is going to inherit money can actually, in the bill, sign off on it. And then we've also heard a lot of testimony of elder abuse this session, of people being like a spouse will come in, they're remarried late in life, and the spouse is essentially what you think of as a gold digger, taking the money. The other relatives, family member can't have contact with them anymore. It's been a major issue. We've seen a lot of bills on that this session. And so there's a lot of worry about elder abuse on this bill as well. And so there's a couple other things on there about fraud, civil liability, because it says doctors can do this outside of their practice. And so, but finally, one argument I want to bring up is I hear a lot of times, and I'm a very libertarian person, I hear the argument a lot about, it's my choice and things like that. Well, I want to show you this bill. This bill is 22 pages long. It sets up a whole regulatory regime about what you can do, what you can't do, what doctors can do, and so this is as far as from a libertarian personal choice bill as you can get. This is a whole government regulatory regime about it. So I want to get rid of that idea that this is in fact the opposite. This is government getting very involved with your doctor and your life and your choices going forward. So that's, as you can see, that's one of the weighty issues that we have to deal with down here. I know from my constituents and from the testimony we heard that people have strong opinions on both sides, but I want you to see that as legislators, we do our best to go through these issues, try to find some of the legal problems with them and how it would actually work as a law. And as you can see, there are just many, many unanswered questions and potentially unintended consequences on this kind of legislation. Have a great week.